And so we take this moment to recognize and acknowledge the first people of this ancestral territory. With respect to their elders, past and present, and future generations, we recognize the Tongva people who are still here and honor with gratitude the land itself and those who have been stewards throughout the generation. We honor and respect the many Indigenous people still connected to this land on which we gather, and we commit to be of service and align with those values to preserve, safeguard, and treasure this cherished land. Wado. Now we're gonna have Todd give us a little bit of information about membership. Thank you, Todd.
Hey, so the organization is Tsa-La-Gi, LA, and to become a member, it's very, very easy. So here you go. See if this works. There you go. How about that? Low tech, but nonetheless, that's our website, and you can go to the website. There's a green button to hit, and the green button, all you have to do is click on it, and it'll take you to a page which looks like this. You just fill out the form and send it to us, and it's really simple. And right now it's free, even better. It's always free for citizens, but it's free for everybody else right now too. And if you want our email, it's also on the bottom here, which is, maybe I can put it on the page. There you go. And there's our email. So this is recording, I believe. So now it's out there forever. So come check out our website, and you can, there's a lot of benefits. We do a lot of gatherings. It's all virtual right now, but soon we'll be back in person. We've done a lot of fun stuff. So I'm going to turn it back over to Cynthia. Thank you.
You're muted.
Thank you so much, Todd. And I am really excited today because today we get to celebrate Cherokee women. And I acknowledge that I stand on the shoulders of the strong Cherokee women in my family. And today I'd like to dedicate this to my own mother. My mother just turned 89 on Tuesday. And so she's now at the point of her life. She's in the final stages of hospice care, and she's starting her journey home. And didn't think I was going to get choked up, but I am. So in Cherokee language, we all know that there's no word for goodbye. We know that goodbye doesn't exist. And when people make their transition, they walk on. And so my mom probably will be taking her final journey home any day now. And so I just wanted to dedicate this to her because she is a strong Cherokee woman. She actually served her career to the Native American community here in Los Angeles. She served as a County of Los Angeles liaison to the Native American community. She also was on the Native American Indian Commission here in Los Angeles for over 20 years. In 1999, she was a delegate to the Cherokee Nation Constitution Conference, where we established our most recent constitution. So with that, I would like to honor her today. Now, today, Cherokee Nation has over 390,000 Cherokee citizens throughout the United States. We are the largest tribe in the United States, only followed by the Navajos. Now the Navajos have more land than us, but we have more people. Now, Cherokee women actually come in all shapes and sizes throughout the United States, but one thing we do know is that we are strong people, come from a strong background. I'd also like to express my gratitude to our principal chief, Chuck Hoshkin Jr. And I believe that he's doing a great job. And one of the first things that he did as when he became chief is he appointed a Cherokee woman, Kim Teehee, as our delegate to Congress. Now, many of you probably know that the Treaty of New Ochota, which was the removal treaty back in 1835, sorry, Pam's joining us, 1835, granted us a delegate in the House of Representatives. And so Kim Teehee is an amazing woman. She actually served under the Obama administration. And today she serves Cherokee Nation as the head of governmental affairs. So the fact that we had that the chief appointed a Cherokee woman to take this spot, and hopefully she'll be seated soon within the next year or so, you know, it's truly amazing. Now, for me, last year in a ceremony, I received my Cherokee name, and my Cherokee name is Lion Mother. And when I got the name, I feel it really comes with a lot of responsibility, and it really made me think about the role of Cherokee women and the Cherokee mothers. And that's why I'm so honored to be able to talk about that today. Now, normally we all know that in May, we celebrate Cherokee mothers through an in-person gathering, but unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we have not been able to meet together. So I'm going to share my screen, and I want to welcome Pam. Hey, Pam. I'm going to share my screen and actually begin my presentation. And so let's go with this. And let's do slideshow and start from the beginning. So as I said, today we are going to celebrate Cherokee women. Now, I wanted to start off by a quote from Wilma Mankiller. Now, Wilma said, "Women in leadership roles can help us restore balance and wholeness to our communities. As we know, as part of our Cherokee culture, we believe in harmony and balance. And part of women stepping up into leadership roles is restoring that balance." Now, on the right-hand side, we have the different clans. As we know in Cherokee culture, we have 7 clans. And I want to talk a little bit about the historic role of women in Cherokee culture. Now, Cherokee women have always been leaders. You know, we're a matrilineal society, and your clan was decided by your mother. So mothers and women have always played such an important role in Cherokee culture. Now, prior to the Europeans coming, women played a significant role in the Cherokee culture. In the late 18th century, women could own property, vote in elections, and even file for divorce. And in those days, it was pretty simple divorce. What you did if you wanted to divorce your husband, you left his belongings out on the front steps, and he knew that his time had come to an end. You know, today it's a little bit more complicated than that, but the point was that women had choices, and women really played a significant role in the labor force because we were the backbone of Cherokee society, in the sense that we controlled the agriculture, we cultivated the corn, the beans, the squash, the sunflower, and the pumpkins that fed all Cherokees. So we were the backbone of the economy. And so, you know, unfortunately, we don't learn about a lot of this in US history, but as we learn our history and our culture, we realize how important Cherokee women have always been. Now, for me, when I think of strong Cherokee women, of course, the first person that comes to my mind is Wilma Pearl Mankiller. When I talk about Wilma Mankiller to people that are outside the Cherokee culture, at first they're like, "Oh, wow, Mankiller." You know, they get thrown off by that name. And so what they don't understand is the name Mankiller actually refers to, it comes from Cherokee, and it's a Cherokee military rank, similar to like a captain or a major. So, you know, most people would just find the irony like, oh, wow, she was a strong woman and she was a man killer. Well, they didn't mean literally a man killer. Now, she was the first woman elected as chief of any major tribe in the United States. Now, she was born in Tahlequah, and through the relocation process, her family moved to San Francisco when she was just 11 years old. Now, she became a political activist by trade. She was a social worker, and then she made the journey back home to Oklahoma. Now, if anybody wants to know more about her, there's an amazing book, and I'm actually going to talk about this in a moment. She actually did an autobiography. Now, she wasn't initially elected as chief of the Cherokee Nation. She served as deputy chief under Ross Swimmer. So he really liked the work that she had done with the community around the Bellwater Project that many of us know about. So he brought her on as deputy chief. Then Chief Ross Swimmer, what he decided to do is he accepted a job with the Bureau of Indian Affairs in Washington, D.C., so he left. So the Cherokee Constitution said that the next in line was the deputy chief. So she became chief kind of by default. And I have to say that not everybody was happy with that because remember, she was the first female. However, 2 years later, she actually got elected. So she served as principal chief from 1985 and when she was first appointed till 1995. Now, women leadership was a little bit different, and I'm not saying it's better than male leadership, but what she focused her energy on was education, healthcare, and housing services. Now, she revolutionized the largest Indian-run healthcare system in the country. And during her tenure, she doubled the annual tribal revenue, and she tripled the tribal enrollment. So she really had a sense of community. Now, she was not only known in Cherokee Nation, and I have to say that, I personally didn't know her, but my mom knew her. And she received so many awards and accolades because of not only was she an advocate for Cherokee rights and Native rights, but she was an advocate for females as well. Now, she received in 1998 the highest honor any civilian in the United States could receive. She received the Medal of Freedom honor from then President Clinton. She also received an honorary doctor degree from Yale University in 1990, and she was placed in the National Women's Hall of Fame. So she really put Cherokee women on the map. Now, I was just mentioning the book. If you haven't read this book, it's in her own words. She did have somebody help her with it. She was strong in so many ways, and through her life, she actually had a lot of physical issues. She was in a car crash that caused her a lot of physical pain. She had issues with her kidneys, and I think she had to have a kidney transplant. And then ultimately, she walked on because she had pancreatic cancer. So she had a lot of physical issues, but that really, it never deterred her from the work that she was doing for Cherokee people and for women. So I want to share a few quotes of my favorite quotes from her. And one is, "Women can help turn the world right side up. We bring a more collaborative approach to government. And if we do not participate, then the decisions will be made without us." She said that at a speech that she gave in 1994. 1984. Sorry. But she also, another quote I love from her, because, one thing, a lot of times, in Cherokee values, we are here to stay humble, right? And some people think you can't be humble and be confident at the same time. I believe you can be both. And she said, remember that I'm just a woman who is living in a very abundant life. Every step I take forward is on a path paved by strong Indian women before me. So she had the understanding that she was part of the bigger picture and that there were a lot of strong women that came before her. And I think that that was really kind of one of her endearing qualities. But she was not the only Cherokee woman that did amazing stuff. I'm so proud of OCO TV because they have showcased 49 different Cherokee women in many, many different walks of life. Because the reality is that each person in life has their own journey. And as we walk forward in our journey and follow our passions, everybody has different passions. So if you haven't done so, I recommend you go to ocotv.com and review some of the videos, because they're short videos. Most of them are 5 minutes or less. And it tells the story because we all have a story. Each and every one of us have a story. And there's so many amazing Cherokee women out there in all different walks of life. So I want to share 3 of them that I found fascinating. And the first is the story of Dr. Isabel Cobb, and there's a whole video on her. So she was around in 1858 to 1947, and she was a Cherokee citizen, and she was the first female physician of Western medicine in Indian Territory. She attended the Cherokee female, now I'm blanking on the word cemetery. No, I want to say cemetery, but that's not right. Somebody help me out here, Lori, somebody. Seminary, thank you, seminary. Well, why I can't focus today. And so the Cherokee Female Seminary is actually on the site of what we know as today as a Northeastern State University in Oklahoma. And so she now has a building named after her. I think it's one of the student housing is named after her because she played such a significant role. Another Cherokee woman is Jeannie Ross Cobb, and she was the first female professional photographer. She also went to the Cherokee Female Seminary. And what she did, she never really was formally trained as a photographer, and remember, way back in the day, they don't, have the iPhones like we have now and take great pictures. It was the very beginning of photography. So she had to actually get the negatives. At that time, they were made of glass. So it was a complicated process, but it's through her work, because she photographed the lives of all these Cherokee women. And that now is part of our history because she was able to document that. Then we have Barbara Mcallister, and she was born in 1942. She's still around, lives in Oklahoma, and she's an opera singer who traveled the world with her beautiful voice. She went from Italy to Hong Kong and all over the world. So she's a mezzo-soprano who today teaches young Cherokees how to sing. She's also very creative and she paints. So these are some women that I just found so inspiring and so fascinating. And you don't hear about these women in our history books. And so it's so important to remember all the contributions that Cherokee women have made in our society. So at this point, I'm going to ask a few of our tribal council members to share a story about either somebody, a Cherokee woman in their life, or someone, a Cherokee that they admire. So I'm going to start off by Todd, and then I'm going to ask Pam to share.
All right. Well, I'm kind of fortunate that I've been around a lot of strong Cherokee women. So the first one I want to talk about is Pam, who's our historian. And Pam was there from the beginning. She was the first person to welcome me to the first meeting, and she's just the kindest person. But she's been around through all the process. Her and her family helped start this council, so I definitely want to give a nod to her. And then Helen, our treasurer, who Joanne's my wife, who's really the strongest person I know. Helen, or my wife, said that one day she wanted to grow up and be like Helen, which is kind of funny because they're fairly close. But the audacious positiveness of Helen, everything she touches just turns just full of love. Lori, our secretary, who's currently down in the construction industry putting a roof on her daughter's house. And she's very bold. She takes on any project. It's really amazing. Really admire her. And of course, everybody here has met Cynthia, who's doing the presentation, and we couldn't ask for a stronger leader. So thank you, Wado.
Okay, Todd, I didn't know Todd was going to do that, but thank you. And Todd, thank you for bringing that balance to our council, because we really do need the balance of men and women, and you've been an amazing addition. So thank you for that. And I'm going to turn over to Pam to talk about a Cherokee woman.
Well, thank you, Todd. That was surprising. So thank you very much. So, well, when I was asked to talk about someone, I kind of wanted to talk about the strong women in my family, and it made me think back. And we just talked about this recently on an old folk song that when I was really little, I used to kind of sing in my head when I would travel back from when I was in Oklahoma, and also when I came from Los Angeles and I would go back home to Oklahoma. And I thought it was a kind of appropriate to share this song at this time because it's all about women. And in the folk time at that time, it was a little bit more kind of like pioneer going out and doing stuff. But this song is called She'll Be Coming Around the Mountains When She Comes. So I'm not sure if people are familiar with that song, but one of the lines in the song says that we'll be making chicken and dumplings when she comes. And when I would go to Oklahoma, we would travel, it seemed to me like mountains, to get there. There probably were hills, but it seemed to me that way. And when I would get to Oklahoma, whether it was in the winter, the summer, the fall, or the spring, my grandmother would always have on the table a pot of chicken and dumplings. And that was always my favorite meal that she would make. And she would make it in the summertime when it was hot and humid in Oklahoma. But if she knew I was coming home, she would put a big old pot of chicken and dumplings on the table. And we would sit at the table and we would talk about what was going on with her, what was going on with me, what was happening with my cousins. She would talk about the old times. We would talk about new times. We would laugh. I would, so we had lots and lots of stories just sitting at that table over chicken and dumplings. And so from her, I thought I would share that she had, I had it here, 31 grandchildren, which was like astonishing. She had 5 kids. I should start there. She had 5 kids. She had 31 grandchildren, and many great grandchildren. And so I thought I would share that. From there, she had a nurse. Her first she married a minister, I should say there. They had 5 children. From there, of their grandkids, the oldest one was a nurse, very kind person, nurse. She had, one of her grandkids was the deputy chief of the Cherokee Nation. She had many of them that attended college. She has one that's a national treasure from the Cherokee Nation. Lots of them went to military, a painter, a basket weaver, a baker, a construction also, and writers. So there's several of them from her. And if I could sit at that table with her now and we could have chicken and dumplings, she would be proud of all the things that her grandkids accomplished through the years and her kids. And she just had a great granddaughter in February, and her great granddaughter is currently running for Cherokee member at large. So I think she would be excited, happy to see how we all turned out. And I have to be honest, probably not one of us know how to make chicken and dumplings as well as she does. Unfortunately, but it's always a memory in my heart. And when I go back home, we'll be coming around the mountains.
And so Pam, what was her name? What's your grandmother's name?
Annie Bird.
Mm.
Yes, Annie Bird. So yeah, it was very, very nice. And if we were having chicken and dumplings now, and I could sit and share all the stuff that, you know, that I kind of wrote down that all her grandkids were doing. And like I said, including Mary Charlotte Grayson, who's running for member at large, it would just make her heart full. That's my Cherokee woman story.
Wow, what a beautiful, beautiful story. That just warmed my heart.
Thank you.
So now I want to talk about why women should step up and be a leader. Well, you know, we have a responsibility to both our ancestors and the future generations to step up and be good women leaders. And actually, that's really for the guys too. We all need to be strong Cherokee leaders. Now, another quote from a woman man killer, and we know that in Iroquois society, leaders are encouraged to remember 7 generations in the past and consider 7 generations in the future when we're making decisions that affect the people. So we know that Cherokees have a holistic view of the world. We know that in Cherokee culture that we're taught that we're connected to everything. We're connected to everything that's ever been, that's present today, and in the future. And how do I know this? Well, Crosselin is our spiritual leader of the Cherokee Nation. And in his book, he talks about that, how we're all connected. So I know a lot of people sometimes don't want to step up and be a leader, but leadership, especially female and male leadership, is really here to help our community thrive. So the question comes up is, what is leadership? Well, and I teach leadership at a graduate level, and when you really look at leadership, because there's probably, you know, there's thousands of books written on leadership, and nobody 100% agrees. And I believe leadership's not an exact science because human behavior is not an exact science. So when you really break leadership down to its very, very basic idea, leadership is the ability to influence others. And when you think about it, we all of us, men and women, influence others. You know, if you're a parent, you influence others. Just being a part of this community, you influence others. If you have siblings, you know, if you're involved in your church, whatever it is, even at work, we all influence others. So really that makes us all have leadership ability. Now, one thing about leadership, you know, when you influence others, it could be positive or negative. So as Cherokees, we always strive to make sure that we're making a positive difference in others people's lives. So again, we're all leaders and we all have a responsibility to be leaders in our community for future generations. And I really believe that leadership starts with you as an individual. And it doesn't matter your starting point. You know, a lot of times we think in our minds, oh, I'm not a leader because I don't have a job title. I'm not a leader because I don't make a certain amount of money. I don't make decisions, whatever it is. You know, I think we all can influence others. So irregardless of what your starting point is, you do have the ability to be a leader. So the first step is letting go of what's stopping you from being a leader. Now, we a lot of times have fear, we have doubt, we have insecurities, beliefs, or perceptions. There's a perception that you're only a leader if you're a CEO, you know, if you're principal chief, you know, whatever it is you think in your mind. And a lot of those perceptions are formed by society. So what I really recommend to everybody, because every single person that's either with us live or watching this, you are a leader. So you have to ask yourself, what's stopping you from stepping up into that leadership role? And I recommend you write it down and you release it and throw it away. Because the reason it's so important for all of us to step up to be a leader is because we want the Cherokee Nation to thrive. We need to invest in our future generations. Now, so the question comes up, how can we promote female leadership? Well, we need to support women. We need to support each other. And I find that, when I help other women, we all rise. There's enough to go around. I believe in a world of abundance. So it's not like, oh, I have to be the leader and nobody else can because it's mine. No, Cherokees are not selfish. Cherokees are giving people. So we need to support women as they move into leadership roles. Now, find a mentor. If you're not sure how to evolve as a leader, find a mentor. If you're already a leader, be a mentor. Recently, I had the honor to lead a Cherokee Nation Gen Z leadership program. Gen Z is the age group of 15 to 25. And I found that the young people were so thirsty for knowledge about leadership. We had both virtually and which was a webinar, and then people got to watch it after. We had 3,200 young people. When I say we, it was co-facilitated by myself and Abraham Bearpaw, who we all know and love. Abraham used to be in Southern California. He moved back to Oklahoma, now works for Cherokee Nation, but his aunt is Wilma Mankiller. So leadership is in his blood. So, mentoring and turning it around and helping the young people is something that I'm very passionate about. So mentoring people, and if, like I said, if you're in your process of becoming a leader, find a mentor. Also, find a support network, because nobody does anything alone. We don't thrive alone. We need to support others and be supported. Learn about our culture, our history, our language, and our spirituality, and most of all, share your wisdom. We all, every single person here has wisdom and has knowledge. Share it with others to help them make their life better. Because I really do believe, as Cherokees, we're all in this together. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up for open discussion. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to ask some of our other participants to share. I'm going to start with you, Patricia. Is there any Cherokee woman that you'd like to talk about, either in your family or in history, and just whatever comes from your heart?
I think really that when I think of a strong Cherokee woman, it's Julia Coates, who is a strong advocate for not just this chapter, but the at-large population, who's really looking after our interests. And so she's an inspiration. And of course, Pam, who always makes me feel welcome when I'm coming to meetings. So that's good.
And so, I thank you for bringing up both Pam, who we love, but Julia, because I have to give credit to Julia. Julia is really kind of the person why I got involved in the Los Angeles chapter, because I think Helen and myself took a Cherokee history class that she taught at UCLA. And that kind of really ignited the interest in me. I mean, in LA, I've been involved in, because of my mom, in the Indian community for many, many years, but that was more urban Indians of all tribes. And so with Julia's history class, which I think everybody should take.
I haven't been able to take it yet because of my work schedule in the past, but I have done a lot of reading on Cherokee history. Yeah,
and so knowing the history really kind of, so Julia inspired me to be a part of this group. So thank you for bringing her up. So I'm going to ask, hi, Lupe, welcome. Lupe,
Good morning.
so we're talking this morning about Cherokee women, and just wanted to see if you have anybody that you'd like to talk about, either in your family or that you know about it in terms of a Cherokee woman that you admire.
Absolutely. And every time I come into these meetings with each and every one of you, my memory of Wilma Mankiller and the story of, she was speaking at UC Irvine here in Orange County. And my baby was just I had her in a cradle board, and I couldn't find parking, and being a single mother, and getting the diaper bag, the cradle board, and another child by the hand, and walking into the campus of UC Irvine my very first time, finding the building, and I found it. And once I got there, the place was packed, full house. That the police officer said no one else could enter. It's full house. We're at full capacity. And I said, but I'm an Indian. I need to go see her. Let me in. And the officer was in the front and said no, but it was a glass door. Somehow Wilma was able to see at me as she was speaking. And I was struggling just to try to get in with the cradle board and baby. And so Wilma, somehow the power of women, put her hand out like that to the police officer and said, let her in. And the police officer said, we're at full capacity. And I mean, this is going on when everybody, the lecture hall was turned away, like, what's going on here? Oh, look at that Indian lady with the cradle board and baby. And but the power of women, she told the officer, let her in. Just that, a few words. And the officer complied and let me in. And after I was able to sit down somewhere on the stairs, and a gentleman allowed me to sit in a chair, and I said, okay. And after her lecture, she was escorted to a booth where she was signing her book, signing autographs or meet and greet. And I went and I cried to her and I said, thank you for allowing me to come in, breaking the laws and allowing me to come in. And she said, it was meant for you to be here. You had to be here. And she took a bracelet off her wrist and she says, this is for you. And I cried more. I cried even more. And we hugged. And that was the last time I saw her. And the power of love. And that also is leadership. And I think everybody saw her leadership and the power of love and the power of what she was able to do with a police officer. So that I always remember, that leadership also includes the power of love. Thank you.
Wow, what a beautiful story. I'm getting all choked up.
Yeah, I know. Me too. That was great. Thanks for sharing, Lupe.
Wow. Okay, so JC, do you have anything you'd like to share? If you do, please unmute yourself.
Hi, this is Julia, and
Oh my God, Julia, I did not know that was you.
Yeah, thank you for all the sharing that everybody's done. I really love listening to all of this as well, and thank you, Cynthia, for your kind words too. But I think I was trying to think about this because I hadn't planned or prepared anything to speak about anything, of course, today. But I think that for me, somebody that has always been kind of an inspiration in my role on the Tribal Council has been Meredith Fraley. And I don't know how many of you know her, but I imagine many of you know of her at least. And she's just an elder lady who served on our Tribal Council for many years. She's running again, so this isn't political or anything, because none of us are in the district she's running for, but she's just always been an inspiration to me as somebody who is very even and balanced and very courteous and respectful to people at all times, and who really listens and who weighs things very carefully, and who makes her choices and her decisions very independently. And so while she's never, overtly kind of mentored or anything like that without knowing it, she has been exactly that kind of a person to me, just somebody that I really admire and respect her example, and continue to strive to emulate it, although I will never be what she is. So anyway, that would be my person. Thanks.
Well, Julia, what a pleasant surprise. I don't know why I didn't put two and two together. JC was you, but I'm so glad that you're with us.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not turning my camera on because I look like what I look like on Saturday morning before.
No worries. And so, Joanne, do you have anything you would like to share?
Probably not right in front of her computer.
No problem. And so,
Strong Cherokee women for me are all the people that I've met through this organization, and I'm so inspired by all of you, and I appreciate you making me feel a part of the organization, and it's very special to me. I'm not Cherokee, but I'm raising a Cherokee, and I loved Pam's story. Was it Pam about her grandmother? Because I also have a grandmother who is Native American, and she used to make homemade chicken and noodles. We used to go and eat that at her house, and I have such wonderful memories of her farm and of her. And I felt very connected to her as a child, and she's the only one really in the family that I look like, I feel like. So anyway, thank you so much for all your inspiration and all your love and your welcoming energy to me and our whole family. Thank you.
Thank you.
beautiful. We're glad you're here. And so, Ajili Zet, would you like to say anything? Okay, so said hi. Well, we welcome you here. And what I am going to do is I am going to turn it over to our treasurer, Helen, who's going to close this out.
Got a comment on the bottom too.
Okay, do you want to go ahead and read it? My great aunt was a developer of the Code Talk.
Ooh,
Wow,
that's cool.
that is really cool. Well, thank you for being here. Great. Well, you're welcome, and we hope that you get involved in our community, and we really welcome you here today. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Helen to close this out.
Meeting does come to a close. I wish to thank all of those who have helped to keep our Tsa-La-Gi Los Angeles at-large group together and active. Today, we offer special thanks to Cynthia Ruiz for the great presentation she has given. I hope it has created new appreciation for some of our Cherokee women who have brought so much to our people. And thank you to those of you who have shared a story about a Cherokee woman or women, whether they have been a relative of yours or someone you know about and admire. These stories, all the stories, help us to unite as a people, help us to become one. Now, as we also wish to give our condolences to our at-large representative, Julia Coates, on the passing of her father, Glenn Coates. Our Los Angeles Council, wishing to honor Mr. Coates, sent a donation to the Tree People organization in his name and donated a grove of trees to be planted in areas that make a difference in our world. With that in mind, we ask that you share with us in a few moments of silence in respect and appreciation for his life on this earth. Thank you. And thank you to all of you who make this world a better place to live. And I appreciate each and every one of you, and I know that your families do as well. Thank you, Cynthia.
That was beautiful, Helen. Thank you so much. And so as we close out, does anybody have anything they would like to say?
I would like to thank all of you for the very thoughtful gesture that you made on behalf of my father. That was absolutely perfect. He so loved to be outdoors. I thought of him as a man of the mountains. He lived up in the Trinity Alps up in Northern California, and that was just his life, was to be outdoors. So that was just perfect. Thank you so much.
Lupe, you're welcome. Lupe, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, I first of all, always thank you. I would really feel welcomed and happy to be here. I always look forward to these meetings. I did want to introduce myself, that workforce development from United American Indian Involvement has a job opening that's paying an annual salary of $50,000 to $60,000 a year. And that is to be a workforce facilitator. And what that means is that taking all of our clients and making sure that we're partnering up with big, the job market, and placing our clients into high job markets. So that's what the facilitator would do, just our Indian clients that are from LA, Orange County, just placing them into the job markets, and also partnering up with job markets, let them know that we have Indian clients ready for hire. So I'm putting it out there, and you can find that under Zip Recruiter and United American Indian Involvement. I also put in our website. And again, if we know anybody that's from a federally recognized tribe, state recognized tribe, a Native Hawaiian, Alaska Native, and they're going to college, or maybe they're just looking for a job, or maybe they want a skill, please contact me. We can assist in paying for tuition, for whatever it takes to be successful to finding a job. And again, my name is Lupe Lopez, and I'm the outreach specialist for the workforce development at United American Indian Involvement. And it's all about, like Cynthia said, empowering. And we need to empower our people, get our people out of poverty. And I think one of the things about the Cherokee Nation is one nation that has believed in education. And education has taken many tribal members within the Cherokee Nation out of poverty. And I mean, there's so much that people have said that the Cherokee Nation is one of the highest educated tribes and tribal members of all the nations. So congratulations.
Wow. I did not know that. Wow.
Thank you, Lupe. And I don't want to get too political because we're nonpartisan, but I do want to remind everybody that the election is right around the corner on June 5th. So for absentee ballots, they need to be received at Cherokee Nation by June 5th at 7 o'clock. We are recommending that you mail your ballot, because we don't know about the postal service these days. We're recommending that you mail your ballot by May 26th. It does have to be notarized. And so that's next week. So if you have a ballot, please send it. If you have not written a support letter for our Cherokee delegate, Kim Teehee, I will share on Facebook and send it out. There is a template for a letter to support seating her in the House of Representatives. So with that, I just,
Cynthia,
wait,
I have one question. Well, I see this is being recorded. Will this be on our website? Because my sister wasn't able to attend the meeting. I'd like to be able to know if this is viewable for her.
Yes, absolutely. So we're going to put it on our website, and I'll put it also on Facebook for the people that are there.
And Cynthia, I just heard that it has to be notarized. Well, I am a notary, and I do accept tribal verification. You know, I promote that, so I'm a notary.
Oh,
Nice.
yes.
Okay, so are we complete?
I
Yes.
think so.
Wado, and thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank
Thank you,
you.
Cynthia.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.